bowed in our presence, thanking thee for all the good and perfect gift thou bestowed upon us. Our Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for all the things that you have done for us and what's going to happen to us in the future. Our Father, we ask that you come and bless each and every one here under the sound of our voice, not only the ones here, but throughout this entire world. We'll be so careful to give you honor and praise. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay. Let's see, we have one in the audience tonight, so I will do as I normally do and ask you to please introduce yourself and tell what district you're representing.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Bruce Gandy, District 5.
Kenneth Bradley, District 1, and Vice Chair.
I'm Canola Scott, I'm the chair.
Lee Mitchell, District 2.
And William Smith, District 4.
Melissa Payne, zoning clerk. Tracy Patrick, zoning administrator.
And you know Mr. Pruitt over there.
We clean each other out.
Before I get into the regular meeting, I would like to say that commissioners met last night and everything that we had recommended to them was approved. And quite a bit of discussion, and they had basically the same thoughts that we did. I mean, on that one that was for the setbacks, they weren't really thrilled about it, but they saw no other option but to kind of do that rather than putting that stuff on the ground. That was kind of bad. Other than that, it was a good meeting, and they did approve everything. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of October 7th and October 21st? I think most of you probably got it by email, and hopefully you've looked over it and get a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Gabby.
Yes?
Yes.
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 All right, these minutes are approved. All right, we'll move on to item number 2, new business, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Patrick to enlighten us on what we're doing here.
Okay, discussion of the preliminary plat for Nancy's Place subdivision Phase 2 for Prison Enterprises. Property is identified as parcel 5849, consisting of 25.38 acres, received rezone approval by the VOC on July 7th of 25. It was rezoned from R1 with conditions to AR with conditions. The VOC placed the following conditions on the 25 rezone approval. The first was the property shall be developed in general accordance with the submitted site plan entitled Preliminary Plat for Nancy's Place Phase 2, labeled date May 8, 2024, drawing date April 15th of 25, prepared by Ingram, Lord and Associates. Second condition is the property shall have no more than 5 lots. Third was all dwellings constructed on the property must be a minimum of 2,200 square feet of heated area. Fourth, dwellings must be site-built or modular with concrete foundations. 5, vehicular access for any lot is limited to one and only one driveway that may be on any public road on which the lot has frontage, and no lot shall have access or a driveway on more than one public road. So I have reviewed the preliminary plat, and it meets all requirements concerning the VOC conditions and the terms of the court settlement. As part of the terms of the settlement, the usual requirement for internal roads were waived. Therefore, no stormwater management was required. The acreages for the lots, Lot 1 will have 4.403 acres. Lot 2 will have 4.61 acres. Lot 3 will have 4.861 acres, Lot 4 will have 6.493 acres, and Lot 5 will have 5 acres. There is, you will see on this revised site plan, a 6th lot that consists of 400 square feet that serves as the community water for the development. And the well will also serve as a backup water plan for Nancy's Place Phase 1, as it has a noted 20-foot water easement that connects with Phase 1. Now, it's up to the board if you would like to move forward with voting on this tonight, or we can postpone it and it be considered for a vote on our November 18th public hearing meeting.
Okay, just for clarification, you're asking if we want to vote on approving the plat tonight, but we still have to have a public hearing, is that correct?
No,
No, no.
We'll not have to have a public hearing.
right. No public hearing on plats.
No public hearing is required.
Right.
Well, that's up to the board voting members. What's your privilege? What would you like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve it.
Do you want to move forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gandy to approve.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Smith. Any discussion about the plat?
Go ahead.
I have a question. The last time we saw this, it was a lot more lots, there was a road through it, there was water line, municipal water line, was gonna tie the two together, all of that's out the window. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And replaced with these 5
Yes.
conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the requirement, like our ordinance requires that if municipal water is available, that it must be used for major subdivisions,
That's off the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question, on the driveways, I'm assuming that number 5, talking about driveways, was an issue with someone. I'm taking that to mean that 3 of these could exit onto Diamond Hill Culver, 2 of them could go to Kincaid Cemetery, or any combination, is that?
Right, basically, 3, 4, and 5 are only accessible through Diamond Hill Culver Road. 1 and 2 can access either way that the buyer or builder decide, but they can only put driveways on one side, not the other.
Exactly. That reminds me of the discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can do one side or the other, but we can't do both. So what I see happening is 1 and 2 are gonna access Old Kincaid Road to keep more traffic off of Diamond Hill Culver Road. And 3, 4, and 5 are gonna driveways come off Diamond Hill Culver Road.
But it's not mandatory that they go off of Old Kincaid.
No.
They can potentially go off of Diamond Hill Cover.
Right, I'm just trying to, and if I sold a lot to somebody else, it's completely up to them, but that's really how I accept. What do I see happening? That's what I see happening.
I just have one more question. The fact that this has a well on it, are the water systems between the 2 tied together in any way, or is this well for this one, the other well
They're tied.
for the other?
I put this well in for backup for Phase 1.
Okay.
I've already ran the line of that, in that easement, that water line's already there connecting the 2. And it's only there for emergency purposes. It's not cut on and it's not running water into the system, but it's there if we ever need to cut it on, because I like having 2 wells, because who ever knows what, if one goes out, back when all the power was going out, it just got the question is, if you lose water and those people don't have water, where can I get backup water from? So I got into the conversation with the city of Colbert and all this, and we all came up that it would be better to do this right here. Because they did not have any water access in front of phase one to give me anything, so that's why we did that, as just a backup system, so that what Todd basically said is, in the past, there's been a water system that messed up, and it had no well, and there was houses built in it, and the county had to foot the bill, basically, to get water to that water system, even though their system was there. They footed the bill to get it there, and they're trying to keep from having to do that again. So this gives us access, but also, let's say both wells went out, there's a water line to Piedmont is up there on that road. Now there's an easement to it that they could even tie to everything to get it in there.
And you're operating this as the community water system, right?
I'm the waterways,
Water
on this, just the water. I am a water operator.
Yeah, I
license,
know you are.
But yes, I'm doing the water system on here myself.
Okay. You'll be the person listed with the EP.
RBM, right?
Okay, gotcha.
Me and Jackson Bartle.
Okay.
I've got him licensed, he's one of my head supervisors. I've got him licensed, so if I'm out of town, he's here, if he's out of town, you know, that we've always got a licensed operator in the county.
That's good.
That satisfy you, Lee? Any further questions?
Yeah, the easement coming off of Diamond Hill Road, is that tied into the water system or?
No, that easement is strictly for access to the well. And what's gonna happen is when we build that access road, that would be the driveway for whoever builds that house.
Okay.
That, they're already gonna have the driveway established, so they're just gonna use that driveway and go to build their house.
This was the well that was 8 gallons a minute, right? That you put the cistern in?
12. It was 8 and I fracked it.
Got it.
And I think we fracked it to 12 or 14, almost double. And this one is, let's say 12 or 16 is what this one is. So I doubled the capacity.
That was for me to,
I doubled the capacity, and all total between Nancy's place and this, Nancy's place had 8 lots, so 8 and 5. 13 lots with 2 wells at basically 30 gallons a minute should be sufficient forever, but that's.
I called Barry about it to ask him
That's
to
right.
give his insight onto it. He's like, that's the state sets all.
That's right.
100%. I did have a question, just for my own knowledge moving forward. It says here, site-built or modular with concrete foundations.
Right.
Elaborate.
That's what the county
I wrote
in there,
We
the
did.
Mike wrote in there?
Yeah, that's me. The state law, you have to treat modular as site-built.
What is a modular home to the state right now?
An industrialized building.
You want me to explain?
In other words, you can't be moved again.
No, well, it means, okay,
No.
yeah, Jay can probably help better.
Yeah.
I know they're built, so the reason that you don't discriminate between them is
Fair house.
modular homes are built to building codes. Manufactured homes are built to standard specifications of federal manufactured housing acts.
Right.
Yeah.
And really the difference in the two, you've got 2 types of mods. You've got frame on and you've got frame off. They're both the exact same thing. One when you move it onto the lot, you take the frame off of it. One when you put it on the lot, you leave the frame on it. They're identical, just so if you never get looking, they're the identical house, but you can get a frame on and a frame off, because some people think it's just because they take the frame off of them. But it's basically, like you said, it's built to the housing code.
Right.
100%. Which, I'll be honest with you, nowadays, a manufactured home, or what most people would call a mobile home, is built almost to the same extent. Where, everybody thinks they used to build them out of 2x2s and everything else. Everything's built out of 2x4s, 2x8s, 2x12s, just like stick builts are. It's just built in a controlled environment inside a facility with a little flex so they can move down the road, which a modular is not. It's pretty much put on a flatbed, and sometimes they're moved whole, sometimes they're moved in pieces and then put together on site.
Thank you.
Yep. That's it, that's more than I need, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, not, we have a motion and a second. Yes.
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 Yes. All right, the preliminary plat has been approved, and we will, to the board of commissioners to sign. Okay. Discussion of zoning applications for the November 18th, 2025 public hearing. First.
The first one is Willie and Joanne Stevens, and they are requesting to rezone a 4-acre portion of their 22.66 acres from A1 to AR to allow it to be split and gifted to their daughter for a home site, and to rezone the remaining 18.66 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the property into compliance with zoning regulations. Property is located at 0 Johnson Bridges Road in Danielsville on map 67, parcel 49 in District 2. So as you notice, it does require a dual rezone. And of course, the 4 acres has to go to AR, and then the 18.66 acres has to go to A2 because their current zone is A1 and it requires a minimum of 25 acres. Both tracts will have ample road frontage. The zones are consistent with the comp plan as they're in the rural conservation character area, and the property's not in Cuba, so it's not gonna breach or anything.
All right, any questions on this one? Pretty straightforward. All right, number 2.
Okay. Greg Malden and Mary Ann Hines are requesting to rezone their 0.18 of an acre property from AR to A2 to allow it to be combined into their adjoining A2 property, map 57, parcel 16, for a total of 19.25 acres for tax purposes. Property is located at 0 Johnny McElroy Road in Culver on map 56, parcel 73-01 in District 2. So of course, the 0.18 acre is not a conforming AR zone, it has no structures, and it directly adjoins with their 19.07 A2 property. So they're just wanting to combine it for that total acreage of 19.25. The combination will eliminate the non-conforming property. And of course, they're wanting to do this for tax purposes, so they won't receive 2 bills. The property will have ample road frontage. It is consistent with the comp plan as it's in the rural conservation area. And the property's not in Cuba, so it will not violate the penalty.
Did that road cut that corner off right there, or how did that work? Well, it looks,
Actually, the parcel directly across the road from the little parcel was owned by a different lady, and she sold that to them or gave it to them when she sold the property. So like this up here was hers and this little part, and she didn't want to keep it, so she gave it to them.
Did you already talk about the RV park?
No, ma'am, that was settled last night.
Oh, I missed it. Thank
It
you.
was, that application was withdrawn,
Okay,
they just withdrew it.
That happened last night.
right about it, thank you.
So it could have originally split it, but they got it from the lady across the street, so they just wanted it.
There's several parcels down that road that on both sides of the road, so I'm assuming they go around probably split parcels.
And they know they'll have to get a new survey and record it, okay.
All right, any further questions on that one? Number 3.
Rose Patterson is requesting to rezone her 9.45 acres from A2 to AR to allow a 4-acre split to gift her son for a home site and to bring the property into compliance with zoning regulations. Property is located at 2825 Spratlin Mill Road in Hull on map 32, parcel 77 in District 3. So she, it's for her son's home site. She's gonna retain the remaining 5.45 acres with her home on it. Of course, it needs to be rezoned to AR due to the 4-acre split. And then, the remaining has to go to A2 because it's an A1 now, and that requires a 25 acres. The current zone's A2, so it requires a minimum of 10 acres. There is ample road frontage for both tracks, and they will have separate driveways. It is consistent with the comp plan in the South Madison character area.
All right. Any questions or comments on this one? Move on to number 4.
Tommy Hunter and James Perkle are requesting to rezone their 12.01 acres from A2 to R1 to allow the property to be split into 4 3-acre tracts with self-proposed conditions. The property is located at 166 George Edwards Road in Comer on map 68, parcel 86-02 in District 2. So Mr. Hunter and Mr. Perkle are business partners and they co-own the property. However, Mr. Hunter is selling his share to Mr. Perkle if this is approved. And then they're also, rezoning it to sell. So there's no homes on the property. It's just one barn that's being used for hay storage. And they're wanting to split the property into 4 3-acre tracts to sell. Have to rezone the entire tract to R1 due to those size tracts that they're wanting. They were made aware that if it was rezoned to R1, no farming practices such as hay production and storage are allowed. And they said that the barn would be used for personal storage for one of the proposed dwellings. There is
some reason that they think that this would be allowed? That this would be granted?
I told them that it was very unlikely that they wanted to.
Okay, I mean, it's, sometimes there's conversation or background facts, we don't know that, there might be a reason that they think this is likely, but not on this one, I gather.
This is not consistent with the comp plan?
That's correct.
Okay.
It is inconsistent. So, there is ample road frontage for all 4 proposed tracts. 3 out of 4 of the tracts will have 200 feet of frontage off 98, and the other one will have 370 feet of frontage off George Edwards Road. As again, it is consistent with the comp plan as it's in rural conservation. They are requesting the board to incorporate the self-proposed conditions as part of the rezone requirements if approved, so they can be enforced by the county instead of them having to add covenants that will have to be enforced by the individual property owners. Mr. Pruitt advised that the county is not obligated to impose said conditions. However, if they want to include them, that would be fine.
What are they?
The conditions are single-family detached residential dwellings and buildings only. Second one is homes must be site-built with a minimum of 1,800 square feet for single-story and 2,200 square feet for two-story. Homes must be finished with facades of brick, stacked stone, or fiber cement siding, etc. All dwellings must have a minimum 2-car garage. They must have underground utilities, and all areas disturbed by construction must be sodded.
That's the 5th page in your.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's more restrictive on what the board probably recommends.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of puzzling to me that they would want somebody else to enforce their own conditions. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
sales pitch.
Any more comments or questions off this
I
one?
will tell you, there is opposition to this. I've already heard from one gentleman who tells me that other folks around the area are opposed to it. They understand, if they came in and wanted 4 acre lots and do an AR,
Yeah.
that's what they're hoping for, but not R1.
Well, I think I tried my best to impress some of the commissioners last night, that anything outside of the comp plan was weighed heavily on this group's mind, and so,
Well, sure.
hopefully that message got across.
I agree. That's all I say.
All right. Number 5.
James and Ruby Dunlap are requesting to rezone their 15.15 acres from A1 to A2 to allow a second home to be placed on the property as an accessory dwelling unit for a family member. Property is located at 475 Rock Quarry Drive in Danielsville on map 52, parcel 119G in District 4. So the second home's for Mr. Dunlap's elderly mother. Not that it matters, but their home, the Dunlap's home is 3,180 square feet, and the ADU will be stick-built with 1,200 square feet, and it meets all ADU requirements. They must be rezoned to A2 to allow for the ADU, as their current A1 zone requires a minimum of 25 acres for ADUs, and A2 only requires 10. If rezoned A2, it will bring the current lawfully non-conforming property into compliance. As far as the road frontage goes, there's no splits being involved, so it doesn't matter, but the property is accessed by a private drive. But since, there's not going to be a property split, you're not adding to the number of parcels served by the private drive. And they will be having a shared driveway. The rezone is consistent with the comp plan as it's in the rural conservation character area.
All right. Questions or comments on this one?
I'm glad you said that. I agree it doesn't really matter because we're not dealing with a split, but you're saying Rock Quarry Drive all the way to Rock Quarry Road is a private drive? I thought that was a county road.
According to our road book,
Really? There's a lot of parcels off of that road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Number 6.
Okay. Hunter Downing, applicant for Capital Resource Management, is requesting to rezone 6.68 acres from A2 to R1 to split the property into 3 tracts containing 1.895, 2.004, and 2.189 acres to sell. Property is located at 227 Golf Lane in Colbert on map 71, parcel 88 in District 5. So the property contains only one home right now. And that will be on proposed tract number 2. Due to the size of the parcels, they're gonna have to ask to rezone the entire property to R1, as their current A2 zone requires 10-acre minimum. All 3 tracts will have ample road frontage off Golf Lane. Golf Lane is a county road and not a private drive. I know a lot of times with lanes it signifies it's a private drive, but this is a county road. It is consistent with the comp plan as it's in the Colbert-Comer corridor, and there are several other R1 zone properties down the road from them.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Number 7.
Okay. Stanley James, applicant for his mother, June James, is requesting to rezone for 2.06 acres from AR to business to allow the property to be combined with her adjoining business-owned property identified as map 61, parcel 27-02. Property is located at 212 James Adams Road in Danielsville on map 61, parcel 27 in District 4. So, Miss June is up in her 90s, and her son Stanley is the power of attorney and is acting as applicant.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2.06 acre tract contains a vacant dwelling that hasn't been lived in for years, and it contains several outbuildings as well. Now, Mrs. James owns the adjoining 3.31 acre business-owned property where Mr. James and his brothers own and operate James Turbo and Parts. The business has been in operation since 1981, and it specializes in the rebuilding of turbochargers to sell. They want to combine this 2-acre tract into this one solely to be used for storage purposes only for the business. They plan to store materials in the vacant structure and outbuildings. Just as a note for the existing building, all rebuilding work is done inside, but parts are stored outside in areas until needed. It's not a retail trade business, so no customers will be coming onto the property as the product is shipped. There is ample road frontage. It is inconsistent with the comp plan as it's in the rural conservation area. And the existing business zone, which is the next door neighbor, is an isolated zone, as there are no other business zones in the area. And I assume since this was started in the 80s, when zoning come in, they just assigned it that business zone in 94. So I'm sure that's how the business zone got to be there to start with. If approved, the business requirements include the driveway apron entrance must be paved. The driveway is already paved. An additional landscaping is required for the front property line at the road and the side property line abutting residentially zoned property. In the rear and the other side property line has a natural woodland buffer, so no additional landscaping will be required there.
So as far as the driveway is concerned, the driveway is already there.
Mm-hmm.
So there won't have to be any additional driveway.
No. But that apron will have to be paved.
The apron won't have to be paved.
Mm-hmm.
And they understand that if this is approved.
Yes.
Will we be setting precedents if we rezone business, or how would that, as not being consistent with the plot plan, how would that work?
Well,
Right.
it all,
I mean, it was.
Since the business is already there, but
Yes, your comp plan, obviously, as we've talked about over the years, God didn't create zoning at the same time He created the planet, so things are there, but your comp plan theoretically took that into account, and you assigned what you want it to go to in the future. You don't want to expand those lawful, pre-existing, non-conforming uses. You want them eventually to go away.
well, this one to me is, this is just a personal thing, it's an odd one. It's kind of like that variance to that, those chicken house money. You know, I mean, it just, to me, and again, I try to impress that if it doesn't meet the comp plan, then we kind of obligated to turn it down. But, I mean, it doesn't matter on this one, to me, what you call it. You can call it B or whatever you call it, it ain't gonna change. I mean, you know, it's just there. And they can use it, they can use it.
B, then it changes it, because then the business expands.
Why do they need to if they're using it for storage, what's the reason why they need to have this thing made into business? Any idea?
Well, to store any kind of business-related parts, it would have to go to business.
It's a business use.
Yes.
I got you.
You gotta distinguish, again, this is something we talked about. So setback lines, that's area. That was an area variance. There's also use variances. We're not dealing with variance here, but there's uses. So the zoning ordinance speaks to those two main things. They speak to area dimensional considerations, and then they speak to uses. The comp plan deals with uses.
Right. So essentially, we're looking to penalize this business to make sure it didn't get big.
Well, we're not.
The comp plan.
Yeah, the comp plan didn't take all that into consideration. Of course, you couldn't very well take every instance into consideration when the comp plan was developed.
They've been operating all these years without this parcel, without using this parcel for business purposes. Someone's been living in that home, right?
To my knowledge, but she did say the home was kind of not in great condition and needed some, work, and it hasn't been lived in years.
So what does it do to the fact that they've been in business all this time and not needed that or used that? If this were to not be approved, what does that do to the business? They'll operate as they always have?
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that they've been using that for storage all along. I mean, it just didn't fit.
And I think they were wanting to tie up some family business and put it all into one tract of land was their goal.
I can understand that, but we got
For
two things we're
after
dealing with here.
they pass
We're
on
dealing with
it
the comp plan and we're
children.
dealing with common sense. All right, any further questions? We'll find out more, I guess, when, doing the public hearing.
If I can add a comment here,
Okay.
while nobody's here. Consistency with the comp plan is very important for defending challenges to
Right.
rezone denials in the future. What might be referred to as common sense, the law refers to as arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah, right. I've heard that before.
One of the things I noticed on some of the write-ups that we have, we tend to place emphasis sometimes on some things. One of the previous ones, it says there are several R1 properties in the surrounding areas. And while we're talking about this, this is another one of those cases. Just because there is an R1 in the area doesn't mean that if the comp plan designates that area not to have them, it doesn't matter what is in the past. So in some of the write-ups, we tend to put that there are R1s as a justification for that.
Correct. And
But
it's
we're not really supposed to look at it. And like on this one, this will be one of those, there is a business here. And so in this write-up, we could say there is a business. This one just happens to be the same person they're joining. So I think we possibly need to look at how we put that narrative together going forward.
To eliminate that.
Yeah, because it's not backwards, it's forward, it's difficult.
Exactly.
And I can't use capricious.
Yeah, so that's and zoning decisions give them the highest level of deference to governmental decisions. But at that highest level, that your decisions can still be overturned if they are arbitrary and capricious. And a big part of not being arbitrary and capricious is having some written objective guidelines like the comp plan that you can point to and say, this is what we considered when we made this decision. We didn't just come up with it from the clear blue sky.
As difficult as that may be, especially when it comes down to it, you're dealing with people. And then in this instance, a business, and it has been in existence for 40 years and on and on and on, so.
So, I think what I'm hearing you say is you can defend it more if you follow the rules than if you just pretty much make up your own.
Well, this is the question Kenneth asked, and that's the right question, is what, does this set a precedent? And the
Right.
answer is yes. In the sense that, again, court decisions on zoning weight heavily whether you've been consistent or not with your comp plan. So if you turn one down next month for a business rezone, but you've granted this one, that goes against us.
You got a problem.
Heavily.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? All right, number 8.
Okay, so, this application and the next 3 involve 3 adjoining properties. So Mr. Acosta owns 2 properties. Would you like me to read all of those out like I normally do as an intro, or you want me to just get into it? Well,
Whatever you'd like.
okay, all right. Well, I think I end up saying it all anyway, but,
Okay.
And it actually includes 11 too, right, with that variant?
it does,
Okay.
yes. So this and the next 3, yes, it includes that. So I'll just read the first one first because it puts it in a nutshell. That Ramona Acosta, applicant for her husband, Juan Acosta, is requesting to rezone his 4.4 acres from A2 to R1 to allow a 1.030 acre portion to be combined to enlarge his daughter's property, which is on map 12, parcel 21, to 2.03 acres, and to allow a 1.023 acre portion to be combined to enlarge his adjoining tract, identified as map 12, parcel 22, to 2.053 acres. The remaining 2.335 acres will be retained by his son, although the property is in his name, Mr. Acosta's name. The property is located at 1754 Rogers Church Road in Commerce on map 12, parcel 20, District 1. And I'll just skip down to the second one, belongs to his daughter, Christina Martinez. She currently has a 1 acre property, rezoned it to R1 to allow it to become 2.03 acres. And then Mr. Acosta has an additional 1.03 acre tract. He's wanting to absorb some of that 4 acre tract to enlarge it to 2.053 acres to bring it into compliance. And then there is a variance required on the 3rd rezone. And that is to allow property lines to be altered on property containing a dwelling that does not meet the required 60-foot setback requirement from the center line of the road. So, because there is an existing home that's only 41.80 feet from the center line of the road, there must be 60 feet. So this rezone will be contingent upon that variance. It's grandfathered as is, but since you're making a change to the property by increasing the acreage, it loses that status. So it will be dependent upon an approved variance with it, approving the 18-foot deficit. Now back to the main thing. So essentially, he's just taken away from that larger 4.4 acre tract, and if you'll see the site plan up here, the one in green used to be the 4.4 acre tract, and it spanned like an L to back here. So if you'll imagine these 2 and this all in one tract of 4.4 acres. So his existing properties are up here, and he's just taking 2 acres back there, 2 2 acres back there, increasing it to 2 acres, excuse me, and then leaving that one with 2.335 acres. Now, as far as the comp plan, R1 is inconsistent, as it's in the rural conservation. However, and I know we just said not to say it, and it shouldn't matter, I guess, but I do have it written down. It will be improving the already lawfully non-conforming properties by increasing their size. And the R1 zone is a better fit for those A2 properties. There is ample road frontage for all three. And that is all the news I have on that. So I know Mike and the other redone song we did with that McDougal, you know, he was improving his situation of those 5 lawfully non-conforming lots.
Yeah, vaguely rings a bell.
Yeah, and so I kind of similar, you know.
I probably said the same thing then that I would say now, which is, you know, there's nothing in the ordinance about minimum lot size variances or creating non-conforming lots. The only thing about improving the situation is 614, which says that a non-conforming lot can be used for a residential dwelling in residential districts, but if the owner of that lot owns adjacent properties, he must combine them. And if he combines all his adjacent properties and they're still non-conforming, that's fine. He can build his house. There's no measurement, there's no provision about how much improvement is enough improvement. You generally just don't create new non-conforming lots.
Now, the variance part of it,
I think it's just a setback there.
none of it will go without the variance, correct?
The third rezone won't go without the third variance.
So should the variance be taken up first?
We don't
Now,
say
how
R40. Don't they all depend on each other? Could any?
They
Yeah, I would. I mean, I hadn't analyzed it probably as much as y'all have, but generally these things don't work unless all the pieces come together.
do. I don't know about taking us on the same day because there's, the daughter owns property, so,
Yeah, it's two different owners.
yeah.
I think you can still do that.
But if 1 doesn't get approved, like if 8 doesn't get approved, then you can't approve 9 and 10, and then the variance won't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So if 8 doesn't get approved, none of the others fall into play. The puzzle doesn't fit after that.
True.
And all of this is inconsistent with the company.
Mm-hmm.
It is not consistent at all.
But the 4.4 acre lot, the original L-shaped lot,
Mhm.
that's 4.4 acres, that's currently A2.
Mm-hmm. And the other 1 acre lots are A2 as well.
The original one should really be AR.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're taking an AR, theoretically, and 2 R1s and creating 3 R1s.
What are you thinking?
The
3 A2s.
Well, right,
Yeah.
I'm just,
We're making everything on one.
Okay, so the resulting lots will all meet the 1.5 minimum for R1. It's just the R1's inconsistent with the comp plan.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
What do you mean? So like, no, yep, here's current. This one's like 1 and 1, so they'll add enough for it to be 2 and 2.
Mr. Tracy, when y'all met with these, the Costos, did you, were they made aware that This is not consistent,
They were,
and they wanted to
they did.
move ahead.
Mhm.
That's up to them. All right, any further questions?
The lot line between the blue lot and the yellow lot, where that something goes across the line, I think there's a garage there or something, right there where you're.
It's like an old shed.
Okay. But that's an existing lot line, that's not gonna be a created lot line, so it's already overgrown.
Correct. Yes, the only one that's gonna be created new is this gray one going down, and then these would just be put together. If that makes
It does. All right. Should talk, Mr. Smith, that's in your area.
I'm sorry?
That's in your area?
No, that's in my area.
Oh, that's in your area. Oh, District 1.
I'm equal opportunities.
All right. Any other questions? Now, let's move on to number 12.
Okay. Keith, Deborah, and Brian Reynolds are requesting to rezone their 6.13 acres from R1 to AR to allow a second home to be placed on the property as an accessory dwelling unit for a family member. Property is located at 457 Rocky Branch Hollow Road in Nicholson on map 6, parcel 58 in District 1. Property is co-owned by Brian Reynolds and his parents, Keith and Deborah. Brian and his wife live on the property, and they have a 1,848 square foot home. The ADU is for Mr. Reynolds' wife's brother, and it will contain 1,123 square feet, which will meet all the ADU requirements. The reason it's having to be rezoned is it's currently in a R1 zone, and you cannot have more than one home on the property in an R1 zone. So the next available would be AR, and with that acreage size. Although it is rezoned, although it is zoned R1, it's not in a subdivision. It took us a while to figure that out, tracing down old plats and things, but it's not a subdivision. And since there's no splits being made to the property, it does not have adequate road frontage. But, you know, since there's no splits being made to it, to intensify that, it's really a moot point. But they will be having a shared driveway, and it is consistent with the rural conservation character area.
I had a question, if they already have the R1, they could split this into 3 lots as a matter of right. Just bring in a plat and get it approved. Why would they rather have it combined in an ADU rather than just split off a lot and build a second house there?
I think they were hoping not to have to do a split, but, I mean, that certainly.
Well, how does that help them? This is 2 steps. A split's just one. A split's just a plat.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rezone and still has to have a plat.
Right. But it doesn't have adequate road frontage.
Oh, is that the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would make a difference.
Okay.
I think that's there's one way in and one way out, I think, what this is.
It's,
Let's see that. So this, let's see. Okay, so this 613, it's served by an easement that goes back to Rocky Branch Hollow. Is that right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. Or a shared driveway, I guess, goes back to Rocky Branch Hollow.
It does.
Okay.
So there's 50 feet of road frontage for that tract one parcel that 3 different homes will access
Are using.
or use.
So how many lots is that usually serving now? 2?
Off of Rocky Branch Hollow, the little easement is serving their lot and a lot behind them.
Okay. So you can have up to 4 off of a private, so how does the road frontage fit into that analysis?
Well, I do know that if you go to a split,
I feel like there were a lot of variables with this one. They didn't want to split it because if they had to split it, there's like swamp area, and then they were gonna try to get more land from the person beside them. And then the family went back and forth and decided they just liked the ADU idea better than having to split it.
Huh,
There was a lot of moving parts back and forth in the office.
okay, yeah,
I know it's set, because we started off with a split, because they were like,
Gotcha.
R1, how many acres do you need? She called numerous times,
That
come in
makes
for an
sense.
appointment, they went back, they regrouped, they
Okay.
come back again, and we just,
Okay.
Tracy laid all of our options out.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
you already have the acreage, if you don't want to do the split, this is your other option.
Gotcha,
And this
okay.
was the one that they liked the best.
It's just odd, I wonder if, if they realize, okay, if you need financing to build that ADU, you're gonna be pledging the entire 6.13. We usually hear people complaining about that.
Well,
And then the cost of surveying it, I mean, to split it up, there's gonna be a cost associated with the survey to do the,
and I think too, it'd be
Split
her
that.
brother,
Well,
her
yeah,
brother-in-law.
that's right, there won't be a
family.
survey cost for this
with
one.
the ADU, I mean, they don't have to do anything there.
Yeah,
It's just
okay,
rezone.
okay.
And kind of just
We'll, if we approve this, we'll be approving
immediate family, they didn't want to like do this.
going from R1 to AR and also approving the ADU because
Mm-hmm,
the size will be correct.
correct.
Yeah, the ADU is just a matter of right if you meet the requirements, you either meet or you don't, so. Okay, I mean, it makes, and this is in, so yeah, it gets it where it should, in the right zoning for the character area, so. I was just curious as to why they, most people they want an R1 where it doesn't fit, so they can't split it.
It was very hard to explain, that's why I was like, it was multiple meetings and phone calls, and in and out of the office,
Okay.
and parents and son, and, yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, any further comments, questions on this one? Let's go to number 13. Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Great, number 13.
Adam Swan, applicant for James Burtall, is requesting to rezone a 4.4 acre portion of his 15.16 acres from A2 to R1 to sell and combine with adjoining property on map 40, parcel 38 for desired additional road frontage. The remaining 10.76 acres will stay in the A2 zone. The property is located at 973 Floyd Road in Danielsville on map 40, parcel 44 in District 2. So as you know, it was postponed due to there being concerns raised about the property that this 4.4 acres will be combined with.
Correct.
So as we know, that is Adam Swan's property, and it was originally considered as, you would say, phase 2 of the reserve subdivision of Rogers Mill Road. The property only has 60 feet of road frontage off Raccoon Hollow that connects with Woodsecker Point in phase 1 of the reserve. The 4.4 acres will give him 200 feet of road frontage off Eugene Hartman Road, which is a dirt road, but it's a county road, and we were thinking there might be problems with the subdivision coming off of the dirt road, but after research, we were not able to find that. However, Adam did call and speak with me today and said he had met with Alan Lepsinski at the road department, and said that it would just be his preference that he, if this was approved, that he would pave it from the part that comes off Floyd Road to his entrance, that he would, Mr. Slum would take that upon himself to have that paved up to the subdivision entrance.
I'll talk when we're done.
So, and as you know, in August of 2005, DOC approved 2 adjoining properties rezoned from A2 to R1 for a subdivision with a total of 107.44 acres yielding 76 lots. Although the rezone applications and plats stated for a conservation subdivision, the DOC minutes did not mention it, and since no conditions were
Well,
placed on.
let's don't get into that. I mean, we haven't
Okay.
fully, I would need more information than I've gotten so far to figure that part out.
Okay, so phase 1 has had a final plat recorded and it's been developed. That Adams property was referred as future development and has not gone through preliminary or final plat process.
Okay, so if I can react to a couple of things on that. So, yeah, there's no outright flat prohibition on a major subdivision accessing a dirt road. However, traffic concerns are one of, again, just like consistency with the comp plan, that's one of the major factors that a government can consider when exercising that high degree of discretion on whether to grant a rezone or not. And I have heard a lot of concern about, even if it was just 4 acres, that, well, I think they granted some ARs, but it's my understanding that R1, even just, 2 or 3 smaller lots on this, Eugene Hardman Road have been discouraged or turned down in the past because of the, I've seen, I don't go out and ride properties, but I understand this is a pretty bad road, so that could create some bad, traffic safety concerns, which is certainly a legitimate, consideration. Now, as to talking about the developer improving that road, that, I believe, would be an unenforceable system exaction that would be illegal under Georgia's Development Impact Fee Act. And that was passed back in the early 2000s. Its whole purpose is to limit governments from requiring improvements to system things as opposed to site improvements as a condition of a rezone, a permit, any sort of land use permission. So, I don't think that changes anything. He can offer it, he could sign off on it, but then if the county tried to enforce it, it would be unenforceable.
How many houses are gonna be put on this property?
He has not disclosed that information.
So even if there's signed paperwork, all that stuff, it's not enforceable.
Correct. Just like you can't waive your overtime. Some things you can't waive.
Well, concerning the egress issue to this property, has it been definitely determined that he must have that point back there for an in and out to that property and not use the stub from phase 1?
No, not to my knowledge.
So he's just assuming he would have to have that?
I don't know why he wants that. There is, if you look on the final plat, there is a Georgia Transmission Corporation power line easement that is in the easement area that crosses, that's still within phase 1, crossing the very end of Raccoon Hollow where it dead ends into phase 2.
Yeah, that's on the
That
side.
may be a problem for him, I don't know, but again, he should have had his own engineers doing his planning at that time, proper time.
I know a lot of this, I guess, Terry has kept me involved with.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I
Well,
probably.
I meant to say, some of y'all may have heard from your commissioners about this, and actually, I appreciate it, Terry.
I think Terry's called everybody.
He brought out a lot, I think, that we needed to know, so I appreciate that.
So the fact that the phase two property, was it 50 acres?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that he wants another 4 acres or so for road frontage, is he wanting to add that to the 50? And is that permissible since the original 50 was zoned R1 20 years ago?
That's something we haven't fully unraveled yet, and that's the question of, so both phase one and phase two, phase one has already been developed and platted, phase two is up here, marked future development. They were both rezoned to R1 with a proposed use of conservation subdivision. Of course, conservation subdivision's been repealed since then. I haven't researched what effect that has on properties rezoned in that manner. I think that conservation subdivision was intended to be an overlay district. I don't know that. Well, I would need to get a copy of the ordinance as in effect at the time of that 2005 rezone to see what conservation even required then. And then we have to look at some issues, so it's a good question. I don't think we have an answer yet.
Well, if there are still unanswered questions about this and research that has to be done, we're compelled to deal with this one way or the other at our next meeting.
Unless you postpone it again.
Or you can do that.
Arguably. But I'm not sure, it also depends on whether you think those questions are needed. Even assuming that all of those questions would be answered most favorably to the developer, you might still decide that exiting ingress egress on the dirt road, Eugene Hardman Road, is just a no-go, doesn't matter, denied. So, depends on whether you feel you need that extra information or not.
And we can make a recommendation to the commissioners, and they can postpone it for.
Yes, sir, correct.
They can also postpone it.
That is correct, yes, sir.
But this is being advertised again for public hearing next meeting.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think the interest to a dirt road has pretty large effect on it.
See, if that would come in, over the T's and fire trucks and then it's left of that road. That'd be a problem we'd have, probably. Because like Mike said, we can't make him pay that road.
Well, even if, what Mike said, even if he agrees to pave that road, you can't make it.
You can't force him to, so.
There's also, I understand there's also some history of flooding on that dirt road down the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah,
I just heard that.
well, those are all things,
To be considered.
to be considered. And maybe, to your point, maybe, check on the road department on that, history of that.
All right. Anything else on that one? That should be a good one for the hearings. Old business.
Okay, to continue the discussion of auction barns and livestock sales pavilions to consider adding setbacks for the structures. And at our last meeting, it was being discussed that we would require, or would like to require, the same setbacks as we do for poultry houses and shack houses.
Okay, did everybody have a chance to look at the verbiage of what that was? I kinda looked at it and I kinda looked at something else where it says, what they call it, agricultural, all those things in the agricultural thing that had the setback. I was wondering if auction bonds and live sale provisions could be lumped into that.
You talking about the chart?
Yeah,
The beginning of chapter 8. I think,
I believe it is.
yeah, page 114. So you're looking at, so you have minimum front yard setback. But these are setbacks for structures on the property, for the property lines. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the agricultural in there, I don't have them.
Well, if you're looking at, Article 8, area, yard, and height requirements, so.
No, that's not the one.
That's not it.
That's not the one. I apologize, I don't have it. Let me see. But anyway, further discussion on what we had talked about at the last meeting, comments on requiring setbacks to be the same as poultry houses.
So that would be for the A1 zones, but they're also allowed as conditional use in the A2 zones. So you're talking about adding those setbacks in the text for the A1 and the text for the A2?
Yes.
And that would be the text
7.1.
that's in 7113.
Okay.
What we were looking at last time.
That's what I was saying,
Yeah.
what I remember, that's his one.
I think the question was that you presented, Mike, was do we want it to be exactly like that thing?
Yeah, well, it's got a lot in it. It talks about, gosh,
Tunnel
let's see.
exhaust fans, very,
All the setbacks,
mm-hmm.
landscaping.
Let's see.
what is
400
it?
feet from an existing habitable dwelling unit, 300 feet from any common property line with a vegetative or earthen barrier between the property line and the tunnel exhaust fans. And then it defines what a vegetative barrier is. No less than 800 feet from a school, church, nursing home, or municipal building. Fences for the purpose of containing livestock are exempt from the 400-foot requirement. Yeah, then it goes into stuff I can't even decipher on the fly here. Structures housing livestock only, excluding hog parlors and other uses identified above, shall be located no closer than 50 feet from any adjacent property line. So, there's a lot in there.
Let me throw this out. I talked to Commissioner Chandler about this, and he feels, and I think he's got some merit here, the new draft of the UDC, I mean, we're not there yet, still in draft form,
Right.
but they recommended, they lumped together livestock sales / auction. And I think we're dealing with really three different things here. We're talking about livestock pavilions, which theoretically would be sales arena, shows, those kinds of things, livestock pavilions. And then you've got business auctions, a typical business auction like down here on 29 Highway, non-livestock, just, you got business auctions. And then you've got, like got approved up off of, Needs Commerce, livestock auction barns that are weekly or bi-weekly. They're routine things. So we're talking about, I don't want to muddy the water, but we're talking about three different types of pavilions or auction facilities. And what he was suggesting was, if that's the case, why don't we define what those are to make it clear, and then make setbacks accordingly for each one. Like a business auction would need to be in a business zone and have your, whatever's appropriate for a business zone, like the one down here on 29 Highway. A livestock pavilion, which is shows and sales, it's not an auction. You might have an auction there once a year or whatever, but typically livestock pavilions or shows and that kind of thing might be okay with, 100 feet. But a routine auction barn, like the one going on in these Commerce, we might impose 300 on it. I don't know if this is muddying the water or cleaning it up, but we talked about how.
I don't either, but, I mean, when I brought this up, I wasn't thinking about non-agricultural auctions or like animal auctions. I wasn't thinking about automobile auctions and other type of business auctions.
I think the terminology used in here is auction barn.
Auction barn is self-provision.
Yeah, isn't this the one that started, and that was a good explanation, Lee, and it's reminded me, I believe it was because livestock pavilions don't include poultry. And
right.
Which kicked this over into auction barn, but that's typically the more business, it's furniture and that sort of stuff.
Correct.
It's just it got kicked over there because the definition of livestock didn't include poultry. Have we changed that now?
We did.
Okay.
They voted to change that.
Yeah. Okay.
To include that.
So now that particular, now any sale of animals, including poultry, is going to be allowed under livestock sales pavilion, which is permitted in A1, but nowhere else. Auction barns are permitted in business and industrial, and they are conditional in A1 and A2.
Well, let me try to clarify what I was trying to say at the beginning. 7.1.1.3 says that agricultural uses including forestry, commercial greenhouses, and plant nurseries, livestock and poultry, grazing, feedlots, so I won't read the whole thing. All right. What I was saying is, if we took livestock pavilions and livestock auctions and lump it in with that 7.1.3, would that solve the problem? Would that put those setbacks as it says in 7.1.3?
One question we had was, so this, a poultry house is a thing, and we know where to measure it from.
Right.
A livestock pavilion, did the CPL provision address that question of what is the point you measure from to the property line?
I don't remember seeing that. I looked at it, but I don't remember seeing that.
Okay.
I just looked under uses, and it did lump together livestock sales / auction 100 feet to residential districts.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming would be R1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Residential district.
Am I completely off
It may
base?
be AR, agricultural residential. Yeah. Yeah.
Am I completely off base?
No.
Talking about taking that and putting it under.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in there that
7.1.3.
wouldn't apply. I think what you're really talking about is 400 feet from the property line, or 400 feet from the nearest existing habitable dwelling, and 300 feet from the property line. Yeah.
All that other stuff is
Yeah, we
immaterial.
would leave out all of that other stuff. that would make sense. If we can nail down what our measuring point is.
And is it our intent, even if we can come to some kind of agreement here in the wording, is the intent here to change the existing ordinance or make a recommendation to CPL for the UDC?
I have no idea when that's gonna ever happen.
I know.
I have no idea when that's gonna ever happen, and I don't think anybody else does, you know? So, what I feel like is, we just need to move on like that doesn't exist.
Could we do both?
Yeah, which I think is basically what Chairman Scott's saying, do this for now. I mean, I think you have bigger issues of understanding what this new proposed zoning ordinance is. It's not, I said this last time, it's not designed to answer every question in 10 million pages of text that you would have to go through. It's designed to give a lot of discretion, with objective factors, so you're not arbitrary and capricious, that would guide decisions on things like this. So, and I've seen, I mean, this is what I said this last time, I didn't know about CPL being asked to add that, but I think they've been asked to do that multiple times. That same example of, we had something pop up, we want you to put something specific in there, which is totally contrary to the design of the ordinance that they're proposing. So I think there's a lot to be worked out on that front.
But, I mean, from my standpoint, I'd like to add the text to include setbacks. Now, whether we use the existing verbiage or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense for the ordinance we have before us now, and worry about the future when, if and when.
When it comes. What do you think, Bruce?
Well, I agree, we need some sort of protection from the public on this, you know, but once again, the definition of the distance, and I'm still, livestock pavilions, I'm having trouble fabricating that in my mind, what it would look like. You know, I know, you know, we got, Madison County Fair has, you know, exhibit places for animals down there. I mean, is that what we're kind of talking about?
What do they look like, you farmer type people?
The pavilion,
Yes, sir.
basically a large building, could be enclosed, could be open. It's a large building with an arena in it, seats for purposes of, you know, shows and sale, you know, there might be sales there.
I hadn't seen a big pavilion like that, but I know there's several around that small, like up there at Common 106 and 174, a small pavilion. Used to, I don't know if we still do it, where the, had the barrel racing and horse stuff like that up there. You know what I'm talking about, right there at the corner?
I know what you're talking about, but
There used to be
that was
one
a
there.
long time ago.
And I know there's one, I know it's out of Clare, but it's right across from Jackson County, where I live at, on Seagrave Mill Road, right across from Jackson County line, where big, got a horse barn there, and big pavilion out there in front, so.
There are large farms that have big pavilions, and sometimes we'll have, you know, a cattle sale
Yeah.
there, you know, once a year or whatever. Those are not that uncommon.
I guess one thing I'm wondering when we talk about, you know, impact on the neighbors is, so the one you described, pretty much all the animals would be enclosed in this, or they would be inside the roof print of this structure. But it would also be possible that the pavilion might just be a smaller place with room for the audience and the auctioneer with outside pens for the animals. I mean, I'm speculating.
And I think every time I seen a pavilion like that where they have horses come in, they may not just have the horses there, they may not have other animals to sell. It just may be one specific thing, so.
Yeah.
The auction barn where we come into is where we really need specific, I think, because, and then the rest of it too, I think.
And we do not have a definition of pavilion in our ordinance.
I'm beginning to think maybe we ought to take chickens back out of this thing.
Who should have put on that to begin with?
Mr. Gandy, if you wanna see a good livestock pavilion, Google Perry, Georgia. And it'll show you the variation where they do the livestock shows and everything. It'll show it outside and inside.
Okay, so, okay.
I think pavilion is fine for shows and things of that nature. What I'm talking about is every month or every week,
A commercial,
livestock sales
commercial
type.
auction type.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if a pavilion, you know, you have shows, horse shows and things
Maybe
like
sale
that.
once a year, twice a year, but, the auction barn where they have it every week, now that's.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to separate the two.
Google AI says what Melissa says. It's a large facility designed to house and exhibit animals, often featuring a showroom, bleacher seating, pens, and wash racks. So, that's what you said.
Well, I think the example that was the foundation of us having this proves that when somebody wants something, they found a way around it. I mean, it was a non-conforming property that we changed a definition for the property owner to get what he wanted on the property. I'm not saying it's a moot point, but are we putting more effort into something than they're putting on the Rubik's Cube to get what they wanted to begin with?
Well,
Twice I have won cases in the appellate courts of Georgia only to have the General Assembly modify the statute the next year to make it moot.
I mean, typically this is going to be in an A1. All right, so an A1 property is going to be, space shouldn't be an issue there because you have plenty for trucks and trailers and those kind of things to begin with. And I'm not arguing the point of it. I wonder here, are we putting a Band-Aid on something that,
well, I don't think so, because unless the commissioners are ready to go in and to demand and rezone everything that's out of that's not in conformance now.
right?
Then you got all these non-conforming places. You're gonna have more people come forward just like those folks did and want to put something that doesn't need to be there. So I don't think we're
The non-conforming A1.
right. I mean, there's too many of them.
Less than 25 acres.
Correct.
Should we there's, on all the auction barns, just like you said, household goods would have auctions out on 49. Should we make all auction barns in business only? Would that work?
Yeah, a non-livestock auction,
That's a
that's a business.
That's a business.
That's in a that should be in a business zone.
I agree with that.
I think that's where Terry was coming from. Why don't we differentiate the different, instead of lumping them all together like CPL has suggested here, they actually need to be separated.
And they are in our current ordinance.
Yeah, true.
And we need to leave it that way, but we need to just put some, in my opinion, setback on it. And it sounds like we're all in agreement. It's just a matter of how do we recommend the text be written?
The commercialized livestock facility that we're trying to deal with specifically.
That's what I think.
Well, it's,
And then we still have the question of a measurement point. Is it coming from the building? Is it coming from the holding pens outside? Your setback line.
Right.
That
That
would
needs to be spelled out.
be- Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. If it's from the structure, if it's from whatever.
I guess it's another question. Who normally writes the text?
Planner?
Okay.
I answered your question with an accurate answer.
Well,
That may not be the case in Madison.
Well,
The rest of the
I'm-
first world.
I'm asking, I think I need to rephrase. Madison County, who
Well,
would recommend the
I think
text?
Tracy answered that for you at your last meeting. She takes notes of what y'all say, and that suddenly becomes the text amendment.
I'll need to know each individual thing to what we're proposing and to all the zones that affect, because there's not just one place in the ordinance that's going to have to be amended, it's several places.
Okay, well, can we handle this way? First of all, we need to agree that we want to do this. And the second thing is, you ask the specific questions of answers that you need in order to write us an adequate text that we can present to the Board of Commissioners.
Well, Melissa just asked you too. What's your answer?
My answer,
Yes, sir.
from wherever the last holding pen is.
Okay. Okay. Everybody agree with that?
So the outermost holding pen.
Outermost
That's
area,
Outermost.
yeah. Area where livestock are kept. Or what, I don't know. Things sound real simple until you try to.
Yeah,
No.
very much so.
Or is that the lawyer saying that?
That's a lawyer trying to explain that to his client. Well, I know what's in my head.
And to answer your question about the zones, I think it should be in A1 and A2.
It's A1 now only.
Right. I mean, I'm not making the rules, I'm just telling you what I
Sales
think.
position is, but in the auction barn, a conditional use in A2.
Right, but we no longer have to worry about auction barn because livestock now includes poultry. That's what threw us into this in
Yeah.
the first place.
Oh,
So it's just referencing a livestock sales pavilion, correct?
Right.
Right, on the livestock.
So you want that in A1 and A2, or just A1? Because then you open up another can of worms, 25 acres and 10 acres.
That's me. I mean, there's a bunch of us here,
I think
let's
10 is
just,
more than
I
adequate.
want to hear from
Okay.
everybody else.
Yeah, I agree with A1 and
So A1 and A2.
but didn't Mike say it would be done away with, because they're only allowed.
But that's an auction barn.
Mm-mm.
Livestock sales pavilion, is that already in A1 and A2?
No, but animal auction barns is, but not livestock sales pavilions, that's only A1.
Right.
Okay. But then they want to add it to A1.
Yeah, and remember, this all came up because you had a non-conforming, very small non-conforming A1. And the whole idea Mr. Scott's proposing is have these setbacks so that takes care, I mean, we can't go in and try to spot rezone all this stuff.
Right,
We just deal with it with setbacks.
okay.
So I would need to figure out which sections need to be edited, what things need to be stricken that's already in there. So it's gonna be a lot trying to word this.
Well, if it's just left in A1, let's see, let me look for it again, so, yeah, right now, it's 7118 livestock sales pavilion. And then you would just add the additional setbacks, just like you do in 7113 for the poultry houses. And if you want to allow it in A2 as well, then you would just add a new section in 72 with that same language.
A2. If it muddies the water to,
Just leave it A1.
Leave it A1.
Yeah, if it makes, I don't know.
So, and in that case though, is the, auction barn it's still a conditional use in A2. So if we're just wanting to put all of this as one thing, is just a livestock sales pavilion.
No, we're not, we're keeping auction barns separate from livestock
Okay,
sales.
so that's what I was saying,
We're not
A2, yeah. So, yeah, we're not adding the livestock sales pavilion in A2, we're just addressing the auction barn. Correct.
Probably what we do need is a definition of auction barn, which we apparently do not have now. So a definition in Article 3 that excludes living things. And that is the separation between the two.
Any additional things, Mr. Tracy, is it, no?
So I know you said we're doing livestock sales pavilion in A1, of course, but are we doing the animal auction barns in A1, because they're still
There won't be animal auction barns.
only in A2?
No. You got
I
it.
thought you just told me.
That's okay. So currently, the auction barns are permitted in business and industrial, but a conditional use in A1 and A2. The only reason why that particular case got put into the auction barns was because of the poultry verbiage wasn't there. So now that that is in our definition, that would no longer apply. So it would just be like the livestock sales pavilion. And then, because technically,
But what you do need is a new definition of auction barn in Article 3 that excludes animals, livestock, bacteria, and
yeah, but no auction barn. We're not changing the auction barn.
You're not changing anything about auction barn except adding a definition of it.
Gotcha.
Just some verbiage of excluding living animals, or we'll figure that out when we cross that bridge.
Well, I guess we're fixing to cross it, so how do we need to word it? How do we need to word it?
Well, do you, instead of getting caught up in the word, is it possible, do you understand what we're trying to do? Is it possible for you all to put your heads together and come up with a draft and then email it to everybody and let us communicate back and forth instead of waiting until our next meeting to try to hash it out? You know,
Both of y'all seem like you got it wrote down, where y'all combine that, or just email it to us.
yeah, let us give you some feedback.
Give you feedback and go from that route.
Yeah.
Completely.
And we do like the 300, 400, right? Just check it.
Yeah, right.
I had it wrote down, but I hadn't checked it, so I'm like, let me just make sure.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm clear in my mind as to how this works is, once we get this first, then do we have to have a public hearing?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Then, from after the public hearing, we can recommend to the board of commissioners to.
No, it would be a board-initiated rezone. So
Yeah.
first you need the board of commissioners to initiate a rezone. Then they set the public hearings at this level.
Okay, so we need to present to them first.
Right, we present it to them first, and then they tell you, okay, start the process.
All right. That's what I needed to know. Are you all, Mr. Tracy, you all okay with doing what has been recommended? That you all get your heads together and send it to us and then let us make comments or?
Yeah.
Then we, what did you look at it, next planning zone meeting at public hearing, or, and vote on it, then send it to the board, or is that what we're gonna do?
Well, if, we don't wanna rush them, but if they have time, what we can do is put that on the bottom of the agenda
If
after the public hearing.
to get it worded right.
Well, we won't have time to advertise for that public hearing.
No, we won't advertise anyway until we present it to the board of commissioners and they agree to
The wording.
Right.
Yeah, he's just talking about the very first step, this board agreeing on the wording to recommend to the board of commissioners for them to start the process.
So between now and next meeting, we're gonna email back and forth, you're gonna send us your draft, and we're gonna give you some input, and hopefully we can come close to a final
Yeah.
before our next meeting.
Yeah, we just swamped in there, but yes.
Not
Our
putting-
best.
Like I said, you know, if you don't get it done, I mean, no big deal, you know.
Yeah.
I just got it on the table and what happened.
That'd be, if we had to put it off the first, next month.
And I think that, and I know we've been here a while, the last thing I wanted to bring up, you know, I think December will be Bruce's last meeting unless he changes his mind.
What can we bring you?
Okay, and also I think that, the chair election needs to come up, for the first of the year.
Yeah, I've got that scheduled for December, and the meeting date will, and we also have the House, preliminary site plan is being submitted for December 2nd meeting. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot in December.
Okay.
By the way, they had changed that from the road to Madison Field for the house, but they're leaving the road for the golf course.
They ain't got the water tied in yet.
Madison Fields for the housing, the roads for the golf course.
Do you still have a full complement of rezones and stuff to add to all this for, in the foreseeable future? You're still getting rezone requests in? How much?
Now,
In addition to that.
In addition to what you're talking about, are you still
Oh,
getting
yeah.
a full complement?
Oh, yeah.
on the roads, just remember that, you know, there's conditions on that, and so, that'd just be your normal preliminary plat review to make sure it complies with what's in the ordinance, but you also have to look at those conditions. One of those, I think what you brought up, one of those was, you know, substantial conformity to the site plan that was, you know, attached to the rezone. So, I don't know if this change they're making is still basically, you know, substantial conformity. If it's not, then they could request that y'all and ultimately the Board of Commissioners waive compliance with that condition. So, maybe they're asking that, I don't know.
So far, everything is exactly like it was wrote out.
It is, oh, okay, good.
Cottages, residential,
Okay,
all of it seems to have the same pattern as what was originally presented.
perfect, okay, very good, very
So
good.
far, so good.
Okay.
It's all
So,
get rid of, working, gotta get rid of golf course completely.
Really?
And just remember on preliminary and final plat approvals, that is not a zoning action where you have that level of discretion. That's objective. If it complies with the ordinance requirements and any zoning conditions, it gets approved. In most places, and actually in the CPL ordinance, that doesn't come to boards anymore. That rests with the planning staff.
All right, is that all?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn.
Only if Bruce comes back and doesn't.
I appreciate it. This is important work that y'all are doing here.
He said, y'all.